Hello and welcome to Gallifreyan Gatherings. This week we are talking about the legend of Ruby Sunday. I'm Scott. I'm a classic Doctor Who fan. Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm New Who.
And Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm a brand new Who fan.
Just started this season. So, Legend of Ruby Sunday. We've been waiting a while for this one. So we get a cold open. The TARDIS is flying towards the unit HQ, trailing smoke behind it. We cut to Kate Stewart telling everyone gold protocols. We cut to Donna's daughter Rose, a new character that we have not been introduced to yet, and the Vlinks, which we saw in the Toymaker episode? Yeah, it was a Toymaker episode. So they open the helipad doors and the TARDIS lands inside Unit HQ. It skids across the floor, very similar to how it did in Space Babies. And we get
shifting slides. I'm not seeing anything but the splash screen.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot to do that. TARDIS flying. Unit HQ. The Vlinks. TARDIS. Yes. So we get the line Doctor on the bridge, and then the Doctor and Ruby exit the TARDIS. And Rose goes over and hugs the Doctor, and then Ruby. We get the Doctor asking, how is your mom? How's your uncle? That's obviously referencing Donna and David Tennant's 14th Doctor. And the Doctor hugs Kate, introduces Ruby. I knew Kate's dad, so that's a reference to the Brigadier.
Felt like a lot of references here that I just didn't have the context for.
Yeah, and that's okay. We'll get you caught up at some point. There's only 60 years of media to go through.
No big deal.
Yeah,
MBD.
So we get introduced to Colonel Ibrahim, Harriet, which is this lady here, and then Morris Gibbons. The Doctor introduces Ruby to them and asks Unit for help. He shows various images of Susan Twist's characters in various times and places. And
get all these photos.
Yeah, it's the Sonic. It records everything, I guess.
Right.
So then Morris brings up Susan Triad, current Susan Twist, at her practice speech. And Kate explains who Susan Triad is. We see S-Triad technology. The Doctor realizes that it's an anagram for TARDIS. Unit already knew this.
And they kind of shame you for not getting it already.
Yeah. Like, really?
No, I feel like they're shaming everybody with their conspiracy theories at this part. Like, oh, we made clues that was obvious. Ha 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 ha.
Well, I mean, that's a Russell T Davies thing to do, is to make something obvious, but then it's not the obvious choice. Ruby realizes that the lady is called Susan, and she's heard the Doctor talk about his granddaughter, Susan. She thinks, oh, maybe that's her. And then we get the intro, which I don't have a slide of. What do you guys think of the cold open?
It's all right.
It was for older fans.
Yeah, it had stuff for old fans and new Who fans, but not like new Who.
No.
But that's okay. Maybe it'll...
Everybody in this room I was supposed to know and didn't.
Maybe it'll get people to go back and watch some of the older stuff. I mean, a lot of the stuff that they're calling back to is just the specials that happened before this season. So not too far back you have to go. So then after the intro, we get Kate explaining about Susan Triad's recent past. They've researched, found no alien signals. Again, Ruby assumes that this is the Doctor's granddaughter and wonders why he doesn't recognize her. The Doctor then explains the regeneration ability to her. And we get Morris saying, the probability of a trap is 95% and rising.
I didn't like the weird thing
with so with Morris, he's supposed to be 13, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Not a toddler?
No.
No? not a toddler, even
No.
though he's a toddler.
He's just a little person.
Yeah.
Very very clearly coding as a toddler. I mean, okay.
He looks 45 there.
I was thinking it was another one of those Uncanny Valley things for me. Like I was getting Space Baby Uncanny Valley vibes.
No, I think he's just a little person.
He's
Yeah.
playing a 13-year-old. Okay, now a lot of that makes a lot more sense. Then I was totally expecting Space Baby stuff.
So there's the doctor talking to Ruby about regeneration. There's the probability of a trap face. We
I
then
sure hope it's not a trap.
Oh right.
not really a cut, but we transition to
I
Susan,
actually really like this character.
and we get the reveal that she's just talking to an empty auditorium, aside from the cameras. You can kind of make out someone in the orange blazer in the background there,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't catch her at that point. I should have.
I obviously very much didn't.
Well, yeah, she's a classic
special.
companion. So yeah, we get the introduction of Mel in this story. Mel was a companion in the very late 6th Doctor era and first season of the 7th Doctor era. And there's a kind of a flashback to her with the 6th Doctor and Trial
What
of
the
the Time
fuck
Lord.
is that outfit?
Which one?
A doctor.
That is the 6th Doctor's outfit. Very colorful. The actor that played him hated it.
I'm
I was
just
hoping it was the actor's choice.
Oh no. He wanted what the 9th Doctor eventually got, which was like a leather jacket and kind of dark and brooding.
call me the biker doctor.
John Nathan Turner said, no. All right, so
Clown.
yeah, we transition to Susan. The lights go up. Studio has no audience. We get a time frame. She goes live at 1500 to the world. Susan asks Mel what she thinks, and Mel Bush. Mel gets Susan a coffee. They talk about how brilliant this all is, and Susan leaves as she wants to do a bit of a rewrite. So we then cut back to Unit and the Doctor. Doctor brings up how Ruby Sunday is a bit of a mystery woman, and then kind of redirects to Ruby Sunday's mother. And we get a callback to the Christmas special with Davina McCall. Morris says, you've got a woman you keep seeing and a woman you haven't been able to see. Could it be that they're one and the same? It says it's unlikely because people that give up babies are usually in their 20s or teens. And this lady is much older.
Or thousands.
And the Doctor, Rose asks why the Doctor can't go back in time and find out. And he says, I'm time locked. And because I've already been there, I can't go back and cross my own time stream. And he also mentions how it keeps snowing around Ruby, as we've seen throughout the season.
Is the crossing the time streams thing a established thing?
It is.
Other doctors?
It is more so in New Who than it was in Classic Who. Yeah, mostly with, was it the 10th Doctor? In his fixed points in time. And the 11th Doctor, we couldn't go back and see Amy and Rory. We get Harriet mentioning, it was 2004. There's CCTV footage. And Ruby says, I've got a copy of that on VHS.
How convenient.
And we get reminded that she was born in December of 2004, and I get reminded of just how old I am.
Time marches
you old
on.
Fuck.
Oh, I'm the oldest one here, I think. Pretty sure. So just imagine how I feel.
Yeah, you old No.
So,
you old bastard.
Morris says they can sharpen the image, and so Unit takes Ruby home, along with Rose goes with her.
What? Jacked up, but not jacked up security guard guy.
Yeah, that guy, who I forget his name. Colonel Ibrahim, maybe? We cut to Mel, and she has a device on her palm and taps it. We think this is obviously some sort of surveillance device of some sort.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch what that was supposed to be.
I feel like you would feel this.
Probably. But
Her hand is clearly at least on the wire.
well, but here's the thing. Like, Susan's got other things she's worrying about. She's trying to present to the UN. She's not going to notice a little thing in a handshake.
I don't know, man. Like the moment something touches my hand, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. She talks to Susan. Susan gives a bit of a backstory. And we get an update on what time it is because she's got 90 minutes until she addresses the United Nations. She shakes Mel's hand, and then Mel gets on her moped and drives off. Pretty simple stuff there. Kind of a slow start to the episode, really, in my opinion. Like, I get it's building, and it's a two-parter, so they can kind of take a little bit more time with it. But
yeah, I mean, this felt more carefully woven and written than some of the other episodes.
Yeah.
We then cut to Ruby's home, and she grabs the tape out of the box. Ruby and Rose and her mom talk about how Unit can, sharpen this and try to figure out what's going on. Ruby's mom decides she wants to go to Unit.
No damage done to that VHS. Supposedly that's being played every year.
I mean, if you take care of a VHS, it can last a while. I mean, we don't know how the video quality is until a little bit later, and that kind of tells you how often it's been played.
Yeah, but it looks like pristine. Like they clean this every day. Pristine.
If they only get it out one time a year and have it in a box the rest of the time, it's going to look pretty pristine.
I don't trust them.
So, Ruby gets told to get Mrs. Flood to watch Cherry, and we get a weather warning on the radio, and then Mrs. Flood arrives.
Yeah, way to make this like super obvious. Like, Flood is now the bad one.
I mean,
they hit it on the nose so hard.
Hasn't Scott been kind of calling that all season?
Well, he was saying like there's something important with her. There's something with her. But they're like, no, she's evil. Her name is Flood. There's a thunderstorm coming. Watch out.
We don't necessarily know that she's evil. That could be a twist.
I'm just saying, beware all H names and people who know too much about the TARDIS.
Yes.
I mean, the way she talks to Cherry here, yeah, no, fuck Mrs. Flood.
Okay, did you not get fucking Happy Gilmore levels of energy in this scene?
like this is my house.
She was channeling some Ben Stiller.
But here's the thing.
You can give me a tall glass and shut the fuck up.
She's not necessarily evil. We don't necessarily see malice. It's more of a curiosity, and I still think that Mrs. Flood may turn out to be the Ronnie. I'm hoping.
I mean, the way that she talked to Cherry was pretty fucking mean.
Yes, but you can be mean without being evil. It's more of a I don't know how to describe it. Like a I'm better than you sort of thing, but not necessarily like I want to cause the world to end.
It was like I'm in control. I don't know. It felt a little malicious.
Well, with the Ronnie, she's not necessarily evil, but things she does can be considered malicious, but it's more to satiate her curiosity, and I think that may be what's going on with Mrs. Flood here.
Now we're gonna come back to Cherry's dead.
Yeah.
Dust, sand.
We get a weather warning on the radio. Mrs. Flood arrives. She makes some comments about how she nursed her mom after a hip operation and diabetes, and also mentions how she died of an ulcer. Oh, but that was when I wasn't watching. A little ominous.
Good little British humor bit there. It was fun.
Not to mention she gave her the ulcer.
So they all leave, and Mrs. Flood stays with Cherry, and Cherry asks for a cup of tea, as she does. And Mrs. Flood says, oh, we'd all like a lot of things that aren't going to happen, and tells her to be careful, and that there's a storm coming, The room gets really dark really fast. And she says, he waits no more. And then we see the storm clouds roll in.
But we don't get any thunder or rain after this.
No, we don't. Could be localized entirely in their general area. Who knows? We're dealing with magic this season. Who can say?
Ooh. Magic, you say?
The Doctor's one weakness.
So, it's not like he hasn't fought gods before. In fact, there's a reference to a god he's fought previously later on. We'll get to that.
I mean, there's reference to several gods later on.
Yes, but at least one of those he has fought previously.
And
So
a demon.
We cut to the Doctor and Kate. They're looking at Susan on magazines. Kate says that her dad would tell stories about him and never mention that he had a granddaughter. The Doctor says, I was a very different doctor back then. A great enigma. Kate says, well, if you've got a granddaughter, then you've got kids. And he says, not yet. Very timey-wimey. Oh, his future kids have a granddaughter, then she goes back in time and travels with him. Maybe?
But that doesn't imply the existence of your kids.
I mean,
Yeah.
he hasn't had them yet. But he may in the future, I guess.
Temporally, he hasn't had a granddaughter yet. You see where there's a little bit of a breakdown here.
But he's already traveled with her, and so he
back.
already had her. It's a bootstrap.
Bootstrap and boogie.
Gotta bootstrap it a little bit.
Okay.
Kate doesn't understand, but asks why he's never gone back to see Susan. And the Doctor says that he brings disaster and doesn't want to ruin her. Kate says, well, I think you bring joy. Kate asks if he thinks that Susan Triad is his granddaughter. Yes?
Was that not a loaded thing for her to say? The only scene that I've ever seen her in, she's in pretty close contention with the Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, they work together. They work against each other. It's a nice little banter. Kind of how it's always been with the Doctor and Unit, though.
I'm pretty sure.
Also, was I supposed to know Unit before this?
I mean, you saw them in 73 Yards a little bit.
Right, but I don't. Were they ever named?
I don't remember if they named them in 73 Yards or not, but they were a big presence in the Toymaker episode, the Toymaker special.
I see. Well, that's all right then.
I highly suggest you go back and watch. It's a very good one. So she suggests that he talk to Susan Triad to see if she is indeed his granddaughter. And Doctor says this is likely a trap, and Morris concurs. And then Kate hugs the Doctor, and Mel shows up and also hugs the Doctor. Mel says she's got a DNA sample, which says that Susan Triad is indeed a human. Kate says,
she even says daily DNA sample.
Yeah, take one every day.
Took a DNA test. Turns out she is 100% human.
Kate has a chrysalis theory stating that she might be able to change, and a caterpillar doesn't know it's a butterfly until that happens. Ruby shows up with the tape. We get a mention that even the Prime Minister can't walk into the room when Ruby asks why they stopped her mom downstairs. And then we get the line, especially the Prime Minister.
Pretty good.
But I want to know, it's like, why did her mom think that she could just automatically walk into this Secret Service base and just say, I work here now?
Because she's with Ruby.
I don't know if she said I'm working here now. It was more of a I should be here regardless. Like I have the right to be here.
She's like, well, if your mom works here, I work here. I'm like, wait, what? That's not how that works. You're gonna get shot.
This isn't America, Josh. You need to temper your attitude a little bit.
She's gonna get hit with a stick and or stabbed.
The doctor sonics the nearest console and provides Carla with some access. And then we get the doctor asking if Kate has a time window. Like, no, you told us back in the 70s that we were forbidden from ever messing with time. And he asks again, and she goes, yeah, 10 floors down.
Also
That
pretty good
was
shit.
pretty humorous. And definitely something Unit would do.
Yeah, that seemed on brand.
They go to the time window. The doctor paces around and then laughs. Says, "Oh man, this is rough. This is lashed together." We get introduced
Laughs in his
to
face.
Colonel Chidozi, and Ruby recognizes his accent, realizes he's from Manchester. We then get an explanation of how the time window works, and Kate explains they've only been able to get glimpses. Doctor says, well, we've got extra power using the VHS because it'll tell us, where the snowflakes were on that night, and have you. And then Ruby's mom shows up. We get more information of how this is going to help with the time window. Ruby goes over to her mom, and her mom kind of has a reaction of, oh, wow, this place is crazy and probably very expensive, which, yeah, sure it is. The doctor then preps everyone for using the time window, puts in an earpiece, and he and Ruby go into the center of the chamber. Mel explains how the doctor helped when she lost her family to Carla. Time window closes, seals. The doctor has Ruby tell him about the day she was born. They apparently missed when they put the VHS in. There we go. And it begins snowing, as we kind of probably suspected it would.
That's weird. The machine's not even on.
Yeah, we haven't even turned the machine on yet.
It's been a few episodes since we saw the snow, right?
Yes. We don't know if the snow in 73 yards was Ruby or just it snowing. But then the episode after, Dot and Bubble, we didn't get any snow. And was that last week's episode, Dot and Bubble? Or no, there was another one last week. Rogue.
No, last week
It was Rogue.
There was no snow in Rogue either. So yeah, 2 episodes with that. They turn the time window on, and after some crazy special effects, the church on Ruby Road appears behind them. Doctor and Ruby are ecstatic about this, but the window does become unstable. Kate asks if they should stop, and Morris tells them no. And we then hear Carol of the Bells, and we get
favorites.
We get a callback not only to the Devil's Chord, but we get a David Bowie reference with the line, "We've got sound and vision." We then see the mysterious woman, and they cannot see her face. And the doctor says, well, this is more than a glitch. She's shadowed. Ruby tries to go after her, but the doctor tells her that she can't move and just keep trying to look at her face. Kind of speeds past them as the power surges, and nobody saw the woman's face. We hear the TARDIS and see it arrive in the events of the Christmas special Church on Ruby Road. The doctor thinks the TARDIS is odd and is almost solid. And then the woman stops, and Ruby's mom thinks that she's crying, tells her that, she took her in, that she's safe and wonderful. And we get the past doctor coming back from his adventure with the goblins, and the woman turns and points, as she did in the flashback during Space Babies, but not in the original Christmas special. The doctor realizes, well, the past is changing, and it shouldn't do. And yeah, she turns and points. The doctor has Chidozi check the area, and he doesn't see anything. He can move, apparently. Just Ruby and the doctor can't move? I mean, Kate does tell him to stop.
I think it's more like advised that they don't.
Well, he doesn't see anything, and he kind of passes behind the TARDIS, and we don't see him again for a little bit. As the woman walks away.
That was pretty good foreshadowing. Like, I'm now going out of sight.
See you later.
You will not hear my voice.
Ruby sobs as the woman walks away. The doctor says, well, I just turned and walked away, and the TARDIS leaves.
Just like the end of an unsatisfied, uncompleted D&D module.
Yep.
Well, you just turned around and walked away. You fucked up.
Oh, like Cyberpunk the other day.
Yeah, exactly.
The other day, you mean like every campaign so far?
Oh, no,
I'm not mad, you're mad.
So, the TARDIS leaves. Morris notices something behind the doctor, and we get a big, angry, black and red cloud of particles.
Scary cloud.
This is the enemy from James and the Giant Peach.
Kate asks what it is.
Fuck you.
And when it is.
You know I'm right.
The wonders where Chidozi is. The doctor calls for Chidozi, doesn't get a response. Kate tries and also fails.
We
Kate
stick
asks,
on this moment for a while.
Is that thing, in 2004, or is that here now? The doctor's not sure. Morris finds that it's hot, it's cold, it's radioactive, it's dead, it's everything.
I love his character. My hands are on fire over here. So are time windows a thing in other Who, or is this a new thing for y'all too?
This is
know.
Brand new.
So we don't know all about how this thing works.
We did miss a reference to 73 yards just a bit ago, though.
Did we? What did I miss?
What was it?
I think it's when the TARDIS first arrives. They're like, it's about 66 meters away, which is roughly 73 yards.
Huh. I did not catch that. Good eye.
Well played.
Ruby's mom calls it the Beast. Doctor calls again for Chidozi, and then Ruby tries.
Again, should I have caught the Beast reference?
No.
One of the many gods he's fought.
It is one of the other gods he's fought. Not the reference that I was talking about earlier, but yes, definitely a reference to what was the name of that one? It was the Satan Pit and
I think it was just the pit.
The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit? It was a two-parter.
Yes, you are correct there.
Yeah, 10th Doctor era, big devil. Yeah, Ruby tries as well, and Chidozi responds, and he says, I'm lost, and I'm in hell, and it's seen me. It's so old, it's seen into my soul. Been waiting for so long. And then
He's dead at this point already, right?
Oh, yeah. Then the time window overloads and explodes. And Kate, when all the dust kind of settles, Kate walks over and finds Chidozi's body, covered in dust, as if he'd been dead for 100 years. The doctor says, I'm so sorry, which is a callback to the 10th Doctor. And
I don't think Kate appreciated him saying that.
No, Kate,
yeah, she
walked off pretty angrily.
She gives him the whole, I will kill, no, tomorrow. She gives him that whole bit, there's 15 sentences that she starts in her head and then walks away.
Which is probably the wisest decision that she could have made in that
She's
situation.
dealing with an intergalactic god. Of course, it's the wisest decision.
We don't know that he's a god yet.
Otherwise,
I mean, we know, but we don't know.
I'm pretty sure that he's the closest thing to a god that any lowly human creature has ever seen. So,
I mean, we don't know where.
Call it Time Lord. I don't care. You're dealing with things you don't understand.
We don't know where the doctor came from. They were just found one day.
Gallifrey.
Well, that's his home planet, but the doctor is the timeless child who was found and was the basis of Time Lord society, but they just didn't know it.
And we're not going to talk about it.
We'll get to that in a few more.
We're going to have to talk about it.
In a few more episodes of our podcast, we will get to that.
We're putting it on the shelf.
We're not putting it on the shelf. It is going to be the first worst of, with a question mark.
Shelf.
Exclamation point.
So, yeah. Yeah, she tells the team that there's an officer down.
Would not justify you, but sucks to be him.
I mean, we get a reason for the dust later.
It was 100 years in Pompeii.
So yeah, Kate walks off and gives a bunch of orders, says they've got an officer down. And yeah, the doctor then asks Mel to take him to Susan Triad. There's angry Kate. So yeah, we
there's elevator.
Cut to the Triad building. And Mel and the doctor go in, and the doctor angrily punches the wall and then the elevator door. We don't see the doctor get angry often.
I'm so angry.
Excuse me.
Seems pretty upset.
He doesn't like the way things are going.
I'm so flustered right now.
So he sits against the wall, takes the blame for Chidozzi's death. And Mel says, no, it wasn't you, and tells him to stop grizzling and fix it. It's a pretty Mel thing to say, honestly.
He gives him some tough love there for a second.
The only way to fix it is to travel in the past to the same timeline he was already in, but he said he can't do that, so he literally can't fix it.
She then walks off, and the doctor follows.
That sounds like a can't attitude.
I want to replace one of those letters. I want to replace one of those letters when I call these.
So we cut back to unit, and Kate is trying to isolate the image of the angry cloud. The recording has changed. It's there now, and it wasn't before, according to Ruby.
Beware all H names. Beware all H names.
The doctor tells them to break it down.
H names.
And Harriet coordinates it, and they begin to analyze the image. We cut to Mel and the doctor, and Mel introduces him to Susan Triad. We get the lovely, he introduces himself as the doctor, and she goes, oh, Doctor Who. Clever.
Roll credits. Roll credits.
It's happened a lot. He asks if she's ever met him before, and she says no, but she has to leave. And
well, I would have known if I had met such a handsome man as you, or some shit like that.
As she's leaving, she does mention that she doesn't get much sleep. The doctor asks why. She says that she gets a lot of dreams. He asks what she dreams about, and she walks off. As she's walking off, he mentions Lindy and Pacifico del Rio and being an ambulance. And she then kind of panics and says, I've really got to go. And the doctor knows at that point.
Imagine literally. Imagine you're wrong and you shout this at a random politician. You were an ambulance. Wee woo.
That I wish he would have just started going wee woo, wee woo.
The doctor realizes that she's remembering these things, even though
I'm an ambulance too.
Yeah. There's panicked Susan Triad.
Okay, so I know this is spoiling the moment here a bit, but why even give her any of this, characterization? None of this matters.
Because we needed to run an extra 10, 15 minutes.
It needed to give us a little bit of reason as to why she was everywhere, or at least a little bit of an explanation. It didn't really tell us exactly how.
I didn't see an explanation in all of that.
It's okay. It's definitely connected at the very least.
Yeah, no, I get the idea that they're connected, but like, is this Susan until she's fully like mode? Like,
No, they
is
straight up
she?
stole this plot from the Scarlet Witch. How she dreamt into other universes to find her children.
I don't know. I just don't like. It seems like if this person is playing a bit that they're later going to reveal, like, why go through all the trauma bit?
I don't think it's a bit. I think the chrysalis theory was correct. That she didn't realize that she was who she was until things really came down to it.
Yeah, maybe.
So the Vlinks, we cut back to unit, and the Vlinks increases the search parameters, and Harriet has Morris rewind the VHS. Kate says, well, we found something at the heart of the shape, and it's the TARDIS. The Doctor's confused, and we get the TARDIS groaning again. Kate asks what that was, and the Doctor says, well, it's made that noise before, which we've heard several times throughout this season now. And Morris says that the probability of a trap is 99% and rising, and that the trap is here.
But the trap is here.
Kate asks, what if that thing is around the TARDIS now and they can't see it? Doctor says to evacuate and leave the TARDIS alone, and the Doctor suspects that Susan Triad is a part of it. Susan's presentation then starts, and we cut kind of back to Kate clearing the area as it does, and Kate asks Ruby to stay. Ruby's mom wants her to go, but Ruby kind of says, well, if you want me to go home, I can't do that, and you just need to go. Get out of here.
It was that was a pretty good moment. Like, okay, well then you're not helping me. I love you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah. Skedaddle. Cram. Shoot.
See what you did in 73 yards.
How does that make you feel?
So the Vlinks then scans the TARDIS and finds that there is indeed a life form around it.
Wow.
But it's not, but like they're actually registering life this time as opposed to alive, dead, radioactive, benign.
Yes.
Tacos.
So Susan then begins to talk to the UN. And as she does, Unit begins experiencing some power issues. She goes on about how in the past, the billionaire's technology has spread lies, fraud, and riots, but no more. It ends today. And Kate tells the Doctor that the TARDIS is surrounded. And the Doctor enters the presentation. We hear a deep voice telling Susan, kind of repeating Susan's line, saying that, I think we can succeed. Doctor tells Ruby to get to the time window, and we get a fun little...
Like the voice corrects her to like, she says, I think, and then it goes, hope.
Yeah.
It was an interesting interplay.
So we get the Doctor telling Ruby to go to the time window. Ruby asks why, and Kate says, you do not question, you move. She knows that when the Doctor is this insistent about something, that you just do it. You don't question it. He knows better.
Whatever you say, Kate.
So we continue hearing more of that voice, and Susan begins to break down. I wrote down the wrong name here. How dare me? And talks about her bad dreams. And we kind of go back and forth here between the presentation and Unit. We find that the life form is woven into the TARDIS itself. Kate introduces herself to the TARDIS. And there. I thought I had a picture of that. Yeah, she introduces herself to the TARDIS kind of in a similar vein as to how the Doctor introduces himself to evil things. And at this point, Harriet begins to reveal herself to be Harriet Arbinger, or Harbinger. Avoid H names. Unit, how did you not recognize this?
Yeah,
Come
this
on.
is clearly Henry from the second episode.
You got played.
Henry Harbinger.
What's funny is her email address was probably harbinger@unit.com. Like harbinger@unit.
Yeah, at that point, you definitely saw it.
Come on. Tell me unit's
Is this
that
a
dumb.
second or a third Harbinger now?
Second.
I remember Henry, and that was about it.
I don't think there was one for the toy maker. I think he harbinged himself. That's a verb now.
I don't
So.
like it.
So yeah, as she's... Oh, the doctor wonders which god is being brought by this harbinger, and Susan continues talking about her dreams. The teleprompter starts saying ominous things. I am returning. Ruby goes to the time window, closes, and again we cut back and forth between Unit and Susan Triad thing. Harriet then gives a list of the pantheon gods, and we get the toy maker, which is the god of games, the trickster, the god of traps, and that was from the Sarah Jane Adventures, I believe, which I need to watch at some point. Maestro, the god of music. So first three we've seen in Doctor Who to a point. We then get Reprobate, god of spite. The Mara, god of beasts. That is a callback to the Fifth Doctor era when he fought the Mara. We hear of the threefold deity of malice, mischief, and misery. And while all this is going on, Susan is breaking down even further. We then get a reference to the god of skin, shame, and secrets. Then Incensor, the god of disaster, which could be Mrs. Flood, potentially. And then Incensor's children. What was that, Alex?
That would be a pretty lofty title for Mrs. Flood.
Yeah. And then we get Incensor's children, which are Doubt and Dread. And then the mother and father and other of them all. Kate says, here it comes. The god of all gods has returned. Set, Seth, Setek, and the one true name, Sutek. Then Susan Technology, which I said
the wrong anagram
in our last episode that this is definitely 100% not the twist, and I was wrong. I thought it was too much of a reach.
You done fucked up, kid.
I did. So the doctor is afraid and says it was the wrong anagram, which yes, it was
an anagram now. There's no K.
Oh, but it sounds right. Sue Technology.
So tech.
That's not an anagram. I don't know what I don't know. I think that's just wordplay.
Hey, which one here has the doctorate?
What?
The doctor or us?
I didn't hear what you asked.
Good. It was a dig, and he caught it. He caught it so fucking hard.
Hate you so much.
So
you just wait 3 more years, asshole.
So I'm sitting here watching this episode, and as soon as they say the god of all gods and even the first name Set, I immediately know it's Sutek. And
how did you catch that early? Isn't Set like an Egyptian god?
Yes, as is Sutek. And it's a callback to the Fourth Doctor story, The Pyramids of Mars, which if I had watched recently, I would have gotten all of the many, many references that they've had throughout this season to Sutek. And I would have been like, yeah, it's definitely Sutek. Because back in the Maestro episode, there is a scene ripped almost straight from Pyramids of Mars, where, Ruby says, well, the world obviously didn't end in the 1960s because it's still there in 2024. That is a rip of Sarah Jane telling the Doctor, well, the world didn't end in 1980 because it's still there. And then he takes her to 1980 and shows, well, yeah, the world's been destroyed.
Yeah.
I should have.
And the fact that Ruby is clearly the Eye of Horus.
That is definitely
a giant ruby.
Big theory going around right now. And that's
you
also a
didn't just
callback.
Pull that out of your ass. That's a thing.
It's a thing.
Here's the thing, Josh, because there's a River Song connection there.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what the name of the book was, but in the book that River Song wrote, it is about them trying to steal the Eye of Horus. So there is a possibility that River could be coming back at some point.
Exactly. Exactly. So the mother is clearly either the trickster or it's River Song walking away.
It's got to be River. And you know what made me just realize that? The line when the Doctor said he doesn't have children yet.
Yep.
That is Ruby and River and his.
The River one was all my idea too. I haven't heard that one yet, besides from what I was thinking.
I think we may have just cracked the code.
God damn it, yes! I fucking love River.
I guess we'll find out in the next episode. Yeah, I guess we'll find out in the next episode if River shows up, or if it is indeed the trickster, as they are dressed like the trickster.
Who is River?
The River is the Doctor's wife.
A River?
No, just River. River Song.
Oh, okay. I thought you said the River.
It gets really complicated.
Songs.
Family ties kind of get really complicated in the 11th Doctor era because he is married to River. River is the daughter of his companion.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget. It gets really weird and twisted there.
She knows Matt Smith before she knows David Tennant. But
their
she
timelines
doesn't know who
are backwards to each other.
Is.
Yeah, their timelines are backwards to each other. So when she meets the 10th Doctor, that's when she dies. And then as the 11th Doctor goes on, she gets further and further back in her time stream as he gets further along in his. It's weird. It's complicated.
Yeah, she
anyway.
It's like, I haven't seen this face before.
So yeah, likelihood that River is Ruby's mom, I'm going to say is 90%. 10% trickster.
If so, y'all heard it here first.
So we then get, Sutek. We see Susan Triad's creepy skull face.
I hate it.
And she
Very
turns
much like Evil Dead or something.
She turns her stage manager into dust.
I think so.
Don't touch her.
And we get Sutek peering over the TARDIS. Probability of a trap is now
newspaper and smack that thing on the nose.
Probability of a trap is now 100%.
Oop, that snoot.
And Susan's character rises and says she brings Sutek's gift of death to all humanity. Sutek introduces himself properly. Get a cool. That almost reminds me of some of the intros that the first Doctor had, like with the War Machine, I think was the one that really made me think of, with the black or the white on black. I don't know if it was necessarily a callback, but I just thought it was cool. Ruby is standing in a snowstorm now within the time window, and the time window activates and the woman approaches. We get Susan saying, all life will perish at my hand. Did you think I was family, Doctor? I bring Sutek's gift of death for you and for all in your tiny, vile, incessant universe. And our first of this era of Russell T Davies. Oh yeah, not cool shot. To be continued.
Not gonna tie a neat little bow on it this week.
Nope. Russell T Davies always does two-parters for the season finale. And more times than not, they end up being pretty good.
Also, can we at least get the final episode where the Doctor actually saves somebody? He hasn't saved a single person this season. Besides the boogie monster.
I don't think that's his job.
It's his job.
Not necessarily. He rights wrongs. He doesn't necessarily save people. He's the intergalactic police.
He has saved so many lives. And this is like the first season where he just like, everybody don't give a shit about you all died.
So,
well, actually, I take that back. Ruby tends to save everybody, or someone else has come in and saved them.
Which again makes me think that she is at least part Time Lord, in some way, shape, or form. A little bit.
Also, Ruby Song, River Sunday, RS's.
You just inverted those, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I did that on purpose.
He does make a point. RS, River Song, RS, Ruby Sunday. Could be nothing. Could be everything.
Da-na-na, da-na-na.
Remember, the only water in the forest is the river.
And the only denial is water.
Sure. Alex, what did you think of this episode?
What?
As we melt your brain, what did you think of this episode?
I'm just trying to be like, I need my own little bit of jargon just to shit at y'all when y'all are doing that at me. It was good. It was good. I'm kind of reserved on judgment until this story is completed. But as a first half, pretty good, pretty strong. Lot of fan service going on that went way over my head, but you know, it is what it is. If I was a long-standing Who fan, I would have loved that.
Honestly, I think he's trying to cater to everybody. He's trying to cater to the brand new people.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I can see that.
Definitely catering to new Who fans, and
sure,
he's catering to the classic Who fan.
Yeah, there you go. I see nothing wrong with it.
What did you think of the episode?
Well, I liked it. I obviously I liked Rogue Wait like a lot more than this.
Oh yeah,
but it was still a solid episode.
I still think the Devil's Cord was better than Rogue, but like Rogue was really strong, and like those two were my top two. This one might have been my third favorite.
Yeah, I'm with you on third.
I would concur. Yeah, top three. Those.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, once the next episode comes out and we can kind of count this as one big episode,
yeah,
it might change.
I agree. I'm a little reserved on it for that reason.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I did think it was a little bit slow to start, which you can kind of expect with a two-parter. I thought the pacing was good, if not frantic in places, even.
You're pulling on me.
Well, yeah, I thought it was pretty good overall. Definitely not the strongest episode of the season, but I'm also going to withhold any actual rating until we get next week's episode, or I guess this week's episode. So
yeah, because it's going to be whether we get payoff from a lot of the things that were set up in this episode. Because I think that there was a lot of good writing in this episode that was absent in a lot of those one-shot episodes that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Dot and Bubble was a filler episode in an 8-episode series or whatever. Like,
Yeah, it's hard
that was
to
bad.
it's hard to give excuses for filler in short seasons like that. Like everything should
Really
really,
was,
mean something.
That was
Um,
less than meaningful. Like this one felt like a good amount of setup.
So I guess what we're saying is our ratings are to be continued.
Yeah.
With that, I think we
Oh
will.
shit! He has to sign up.
What? Yeah. With that, I think we will go ahead and end this episode of Gallifreyan Gatherings. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me this evening. And thank you all for watching on YouTube, listening to us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, everywhere that you can find great podcasts, you can find us. If you haven't already, check us out. Check us out on Twitch. Check us out on YouTube. Feel free to join our Patreon and become a patron. Get a special access to our Discord, a special area. And yeah, we will interact with you directly there. But again, thank you all. We will catch you all in the next episode. Goodbye.